experienced in the last 3 weeks, one of the things that Jeff said, when there are great teachers, they are not only full of energy, but they're full of commitment to those kids. Those kids are their lives, and I'll tell you how I experienced that recently. Came home one night and there was a stack of mail sitting on the island, and so I started going through it. And in this age of the internet, you'll get out of here and you can realize it if you care to. You find my home address in 45 seconds, on the internet. And so I get lots of people now who write me at home. I am not inviting you to do that. But I get lots of people who write your peddling food. Let's just go, oh God, no, right? But it happens. And so I'm going through stuff, and some stuff you can just tell right at the beginning it's kind of like work related, and so I just take that envelope and I put it in a case to bring down to the office the next day. But this one, I didn't recognize the return name on the address. But it looked like it was the handwriting of an elderly person. And I don't know what it was that made me open it, but I opened it and I started reading it. And a woman now lived in Georgia. It was one southern state, so it lives in Georgia. And she's right, dear Mr. Christie, I'm not sure if this is the same person, but I think it is. She said, I remember a little boy who walked into my class, my kindergarten class at 5 years old. And he was a little bit tall, a little stocky. Did she say pudgy? Thank you, honey. So glad to have the First Lady here. Dark hair, came into my classroom, and I knew right away that he was special. And I remember the way he would lead our class in the flag salute. I remember how he liked to read out loud to the other children. And I remember that he used to help me after school to clean up afterwards. And said, I don't know if this is the same Chris Christie that I had in my kindergarten class at the Squiretown School in 1967. But if it is, and you really are the governor of New Jersey, I just want to tell you, I was proud of you then, and I'm proud of you now. Now, there's a teacher who had me in her classroom 43 years ago. 43 years ago. I don't think it was about me. That's the point. I think it's about her. And I think that there were probably a lot of kids that she had over that course of time who are still 43 years later in her memory because she invested so much of her life and herself in us. And so, who are great teachers? I loved her then. I remember her. I remember walking into her class the first day, and when my mother dropped me off, crying like crazy. Because I didn't want to stay. I wanted to go home, Mom. I didn't want to stay. And she had a great class. And as I went up in that elementary school, everybody always wanted to have her. She was not married at the time, that's why I didn't recognize the name. It was Miss Lukemeyer. I remember Miss Lukemeyer like it was yesterday. And now her last name is Welch, and she's living in Georgia. Those are great teachers. And we need to reward those people. And I said at this event we had earlier this week that I think every one of those great teachers that Jeff described, I think parents in most neighborhoods would be willing to carry those teachers on their shoulders to school every day if they knew that those teachers could be in front of their children in their classroom teaching them. But by the same token, the reason there's an imperative, like Jeff said, is that, imagine, we went to back to school night. Mary Pat and I went to back to school night. We have 4 kids between 7 and 17. So we went into back to school night, and we have them in 3 different schools, and they all scheduled back to school night on the same night. Thank you very much. So, we went around like crazy to all these different schools. We went into my daughter Bridget's 2nd grade class. She's 7. And we'd had this teacher before, so we knew she was a wonderful teacher. We were really excited that Bridget got her too. But I was thinking to myself, because this was when I was leading up to all the activity we've had the last week, Like, what happened if the principal had walked into school that night, and walked into the class before the teacher was, and said to the parents, listen, hi, this year, your second graders are going to have Mrs. Smith. Now, you know, Mrs. Smith is just not that great a teacher. She's just she's not doing really well. She said, but you know, we're working with her. I don't have a lot of hope that she's going to get better, but we can't fire her because, you know, we have this teacher contract that the union won't let us fire her. And since we're paying her, we figure we might as well have her do something. So she's going to teach your kids this year. Best of luck. Have a great year. And walk out, right? You go berserk, right? You say, this is my daughter's only year in second grade. And if she doesn't learn in second grade, what the hell's going to happen to her in third grade and fourth grade? And she's always going to be behind unless she gets a super teacher that drags her up 2 years in 1 year. And so we can't accept this. And I think what Jeff is talking about is our unwillingness as a public anymore to accept that. To accept that as being what we must take for our kids. That's what I'm doing. So, you know, we suggested a whole bunch of reforms, the core of which are about accountability. And saying that teachers shouldn't be paid just for breathing. Okay? I mean, that's what the pay scale is now. You get bumped up by seniority. So you're here this year, you teach, like Jeff said, you did a lousy job. The kids all failed, and we say, hey, it's September. You breathing? Yeah, okay. You're back with a raise. You know, you're getting stepped up. We're saying, in New Jersey from now forward, what we should do is say, teachers are going to be held accountable like everybody else for the progress of their students. Not for the absolute number of how they achieve, but for the progress of their students. And we need to test kids that way, and we need to hold teachers accountable for that. And for those teachers who do great, they should make much more than they're making now. Because we want them to stay, we want to keep that stamina, we want them to feel rewarded and valued, and we should pay them more. And for those teachers who don't succeed, we invite them to pursue another career. Because it doesn't mean, like Jeff says, it doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean they're not trying hard. Some of them aren't. But some of them are, just aren't good at it. That's okay. You know, we have to, though, not accept that as being what we need to do for our kids. And so we talked about a lot of reforms Tuesday. We're putting out a plan today, too, which I'm not going to waste your time with at the moment. You can read about it, about how we're going to make charter schools in New Jersey even better than they are now, more plentiful than they are now. And we have to do things like multiple authorizers and allow there to be specialization in charter schools, things that we don't have available to us right now in New Jersey. We have a pretty good charter school law in New Jersey. We don't have a great one. And if we adopt these reforms, they're going to be great charter schools in New Jersey and more of them than we had before. And the bottom line is this, though. You know the forces that are arrayed against us in trying to stop this reform. And people ask me today at a press availability earlier today, how do you combat that? And I said, that's why I'm coming to talk to these people. Because I'm only going to be able to change it if you help me change it. And even then, we're all going to be doing it together. And step by step, bit by bit. And so that's what this is all about. And I thought, after spending a lot of time with Jeff over the last week or so, that having him here with me today to give you an example of what is possible gives hope. And hope is the greatest gift that we can give to each other. Is that today is not the best that we can think of, that tomorrow can be better. And that's what we want for our kids. It's for them to feel that way too. And so we have a microphone there in the middle. We've got a little bit of time before we have to go to our next